Thanks everyone for coming, and good morning. As we all know by now, today my office filed a superseding indictment charging the defendant Heuermann with a seventh charged murder in the second degree for the murder of Valerie Mack, which occurred in 2000. I remind everyone that all of these cases and all of these murders are just allegations, and we look forward to proving them in the court. As I've previously stated, the work of the Gilgo Task Force is ongoing and continuing. And when I said that, I meant what I said. The defendant is now charged with the murder of 7 young women: Sandra Castilla from 1993, Valerie Mack from 2000, Jessica Taylor from 2003, Maureen Brainerd Barnes from 2007, Melissa Bartholomew from 2009, Megan Wardeman from 2010 in June, and Amber Costello from September of 2010. Again, they occurred between 1993 and 2010. We are here because the Gilgo Task Force has continued to work together to obtain not only evidence for the charged crimes, but has continued to work on other uncharged crimes as well. And I am grateful for the great work that the Gilgo Task Force has done. Of course, not only my office and my team, but the other agencies who have worked with us. And we're gonna talk about that in a while. As you've also probably noticed, here with us today are the victims' family members. I think pretty much every charged victim, their family members are here. Specifically, we're joined by Joanne and Edwin Mack, who are the parents of Valerie Mack. Through the grand jury process, we get to learn a little bit about our victims, and we did that through the Mack family. Valerie is very similar to the other victims in this case. Extraordinary person. The family are extraordinary people, and we are honored to prosecute this case for Valerie and her family, or on behalf of Valerie and her family. And again, I think the Mack family is emblematic of the other families in this case who have steadfastly stood by their loved ones and jealously guarded their memories. And we have nothing but respect and admiration for those victims' families. We also, speaking of gratitude, I want to mention our task force partners, some of whom I haven't mentioned here before, but of course we have our great sheriffs, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Errol Kluwan Jr. I know undersheriffs, I spoke with Undersheriffs Steve Kios and Keith Taylor. They're here to support us, and as well as the task force. Our Suffolk County Police Department, we have Acting Commissioner Rob Waring, who I spoke to, and I saw Deputy Police Commissioners Kevin Catalina and Daryl Simmons. So I know, among others, we have the homicide squad led by Kevin Byer, as well as Sergeant Stephen Geyer. Inspector Sean Barron from the Suffolk County PD is with us here today. I want to thank the Suffolk County PD, both the agency as well as the Homicide Bureau, for their work on this and many other cases. We have the New York State Police, Major Stephen Yadis, Captain Ken Guine, and his team, who have been instrumental in the task force and the great work that they've done. And I want to thank them. We have FBI Supervisory Special Agent Don Osbacher is here. Special Agent Craig Mateo, I believe, is here. But the FBI has been and continues to be tremendous help in this case, and we certainly want to thank them going forward. And we really appreciate the work that they've done and the work that they continue to do for us. United States Secret Service, I know they're here, but they've been assisting with a lot of the electronic devices, so we want to certainly thank them as well. New York City OCME, somehow I neglected to thank them through all of the various superseding indictments. Specifically, I want to thank their anthropology unit and their forensic biology department. They were working here in Suffolk during the commission of many of these crimes, and so they've come back to Suffolk to assist us in our investigation and prosecution of these cases, and they've done a tremendous job, and we certainly want to thank them, as well as our medical examiner's office in Suffolk County, led by Odette Hall. Dr. Hall has been tremendous in this case. Of course, our own Suffolk County Crime Lab with Director Constance Dinkel and her team. They have, again, like all of these partners, not only they help us with the Gilgo cases, they help us with so many more cases, and we certainly thank them. I want to thank my own team, led by Chief Investigator Rich Zacharis, the ADAs who I've worked with. We're doing a tremendous job. And everyone, our team, we have an army of people from my office who is really doing a great job. And we want to thank them. A case of this magnitude takes the assistance of so many different moving parts, and we certainly thank all of the folks who people don't even know about, who have really helped us significantly. It's more than it's just a literal army of people, so we certainly appreciate that. As we've said, we are not limiting this investigation to Gilgo Beach. We moved off of the beach. I think that if you had asked me back when we started this, could we potentially get to the place where we are now? I think that we thought that this was a possibility, and we're just very happy that we're here. So we're going to continue to work these cases. We're going to continue to prepare these cases for trial. Regarding the murder of Valerie Mack, most of it is in the discovery letter, so I'm not going to repeat. Suffice to say that Valerie's body was discovered on November 19, 2000 in a wooded area off of Mill Road by hunters. From there, we worked the case. According to the bail document, as you see, the evidence is we have mitochondrial DNA from a hair that was found on the body of Valerie Mack, which was a portion of the body of Valerie Mack, which was found off of Mill Road. That hair, mitochondrial DNA analysis was performed, and that hair was consistent with the mitochondrial DNA profiles of both Asa Heuermann and her daughter, Asa Ellerup, and her daughter, Victoria Heuermann. And I believe the numbers are to an exclusion of 99.96% of the population. Similar to the other cases, we then sent that hair out for nuclear DNA analysis, and because it's nuclear DNA, it's much more discriminating, and the profile came back. The most conservative estimate was 1.31 times 10 to the 356 power. So again, you take that 1.31, you move the decimal point over 356 times, and that's the number that you get, which excludes that percentage of the population, but includes, in this case, it was, I believe it was Victoria Heuermann again. So that's where we are. We in the bail letter we've placed some other evidence with regard to the planning document. Specifically, if you recall, the HK document, which we've referred to as the planning document, we see that one of the dump sites which were discussed in that document was Mill Road, which was the road that Valerie was found in the vicinity of. We also have seen during our searches a number of articles with regard to the Gilgo Beach investigation in various publications like People. There was a New York Times Magazine article about the Gilgo investigation, which was found in the defendant's safe, as well as other news articles in which the discovery of the bodies of Sandra, Jessica, and Valerie are found, and those newspapers were retained by the defendant, as well as information when Valerie was identified, and she was positive when she went from being, I believe she was Jane Doe number 6, and and then through the work of the FBI, we were able to establish that it was Valerie, that the body was Valerie's. There was internet searches done from devices controlled by the defendant at or around the time that she was first identified. That's the evidence in this case. Again, it's just that, it's evidence, it's allegations, and we look forward to proving them at court. But I'll turn it over for questions now.
Does the Mack family want to say anything? Do you want to come forward and speak about this when it finally ends?
We spoke to the Mack family. I don't believe that they want to give a statement at this time. I can tell you that I had the opportunity to speak. They are very grateful. They're very grateful for the small bit of closure that the task force has been able to provide. And it was very interesting to us. I'll say they're thankful for all the investigators stemming right back from the very origins of the case and the diligent work that was done in this case. And they're grateful for that. And I had the opportunity to share with the Mack family the reactions of some of the older investigators when we reached out to them and told them that we had gotten some traction in the case. The excitement on those, the palpable excitement that we got from those investigators, made it obvious to us that, the lives of these women matter. We as investigators, we understand that. Obviously, no one understands it more than the family. So again, we're just delighted and honored and privileged to be able to work with these families. And again, there's not so much we can do, but at least we provide them with a small measure of closure.
Sir, the deal application, the evidence and the allegations you mentioned, things that are found either in the home or his office. I wasn't sure if that was the Manhattan office, but you talked also about the newspaper articles. There was evidence of a plumber being called to the home. Could you go over any of that?
Yeah, so, again, if you look at the planning documents, discuss the foam, drain foaming cleaner, and issues with regard to that. And at or around the time of the commission of this crime, there was a plumber did go to the Heuermann residence.
So you're thinking that some of the murders could have taken place in the home?
Well, I mean, obviously, we don't have to specifically prove where they happened. We just, we have other elements that we need to prove. But I think if you look at this case, if you look at the planning document, if you look at the adhesive staining on the walls in a sort of enclosed pattern, certainly all of that is consistent with the commission of those murders occurring at the home.
DA Tierney, Peach's toddler daughter was found very close on Ocean Parkway to Valerie Mack. Would that lead you to believe that Rex Heuermann could be responsible for the murder of the toddler and Peaches?
Doesn't matter what I believe, as I say, matters what I can prove. And what we've done, and to the extent we've been able to have success, is you take each one of these cases, you take each one of the location of the bodies, and you use that as a separate investigation and a separate crime scene until you're specifically given clues which allow you to put them together. So until we're able to do that, we won't speak on that, and we speak through indictments.
Well, a quick follow-up. When Rex Heuermann loudly proclaimed in court that he's not guilty of any of these charges, just your thought.
Listen, that's the process, and right now he's absolutely right. These are allegations, and it's our obligation to prove them. So we're going to be held to our burden, we're going to be held to our task, and we look forward to doing that.
Can you comment on whether or not there's any evidence that Asta Ellerup was out of town when Valerie Mack disappeared?
It's not included in the bail letter, so we're not going to discuss that.
That's been consistent throughout the
With
evidence.
regard to the other, yeah, we've been able to establish that, but it was not included in this bail application. And the thing is, we're precluded oftentimes about talking about things that have not been publicly disclosed or disclosed in court. So, all of the bail letters, that is, the evidence that which has been disclosed. Obviously, we have other evidence in this case. I don't believe we have any specific evidence with regard to, the family's whereabouts.
Throughout this case, the defense has raised questions about whether the DNA evidence is enough. I mean, can you talk about why you felt it was enough to charge him with this murder?
Well, fortunately for us, we're not gonna have to come to the question of whether or not, just the DNA evidence is enough, because it's our position we have, a lot of other evidence. And if you could go through all the bail documents, you see a portion of that evidence. Obviously not all of that evidence, because we have other evidence. As the judge said in court today, this is cutting edge DNA, the SNP, single nucleotide polymorphisms. That technology which we're using in this way in New York State, it has been used in other places in the country a handful of times, but it has never been used in New York State. So whenever that happens, there'll be a challenge. There'll be a hearing called a Fry hearing, which the judge has set down, and the defense will make their arguments. We'll make our arguments. I anticipate having a hearing on that issue before the judge, and then it's up to the judge to provide the decision as whether or not the technology used in this case is scientifically accepted, and whether or not it'll be admissible in this case. So, that's upcoming litigation.
The Fry, I'm Kevin Sheehan.
Right.
The Fry hearing you just mentioned, that's coming up in January. Will there be any motions on the part of the defense to break up these cases into like a number of cases as far as victims?
Well, I think the judge indicated on the record that he wanted a Fry DNA hearing motion filed by the defense by January, I believe. And then he also said, at the very least, and then he mentioned the severance motion. So I think that whether or not the defense decides they want to sever the case, that motion, we would anticipate it coming, if not in January, then soon thereafter.
Would you oppose that motion?
Yes.
How again do you guys view those newspaper and magazine clippings?
Well, I mean, again, what we've done with this case, what we've done with the phone records, the financial records, DNA, the internet searches, and the various things that he has kept since going all the way back to 1993, it's evincing his intent. It's evincing, his interest in the case. So we think that it's, circumstantial evidence of his, that persistent interest in the case, the victims, the methods being used to, starting back in 2010, all the methods used by law enforcement to try to catch the murderer of some of the individuals on Gilgo. All of those things are evince a certain mental state and intent. So we think when taken with all the evidence, it paints a certain picture. Again, the picture will need to prove at trial.
You just mentioned the evidence, the tape patterns on the ceiling, for the charges and stuff in the home. Were those all, I know there was in different areas, but were they all in the basement?
Yeah.
They were all in the
And if you look at, the planning document, he's talking about push pins, because, and there's when I say he, I mean the document mentions push pins, and then, and that the tape is no good, presumably because it creates a adhesive stain on the walls.
That's all in the basement?
It's all in the basement.
And that was also kept as souvenirs? I mean, are you thinking that the newspapers and magazines were also mementos for him to keep feeling good about himself?
I scored a touchdown in high school. Still have that article.
Is there a number?
I'm sorry?
In the papers today, it said that he had visited the Gilbo site.
Yes. At around significant times within the investigation.
So is there a number of times that he visited the site? Timing was along with Mack's, findings?
Yeah,
But-
I believe it was the identification of Valerie Mack as the victim.
Was there other times after the?
I believe there was. I don't specifically have that information for you. We can get that for you.
Ray, any anticipation when this is finally gonna go to trial, or are you content to sort of leave it like this while you investigate numerous other murders?
No, I'm not content at all. And, you know, it doesn't really matter whether I'm content or not. It matters whether the judge is content. And I can tell you, the judge is less than content. And that, that's his job. This is a very active and aggressive judge that tries many cases throughout the year, and he's eager to try this case. So he's doing his job, and he's pushing us. He's pushing the defense, he's pushing us. Obviously now, when you're talking about 7 separate murders going back from 1993, you have missing persons reports from other outside jurisdictions in New York, outside jurisdictions from the state. All of that, we have tips, all of that, we have forensic material and evidence. All of that has to be provided to the defense, which we're working through. So it is a difficult task. I would say that the judge understands that, but he's also pushing us. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and comply with the judge and get ready. The first step, it sounds like the first step is going to be the Fry hearing. So we have a lot of work to do with that. That's gonna, presumably they will have experts, we're gonna have experts, and we'll have that hearing.
2025, 2026?
Well, I mean, I think the judge said late February, or if not late February, perhaps early March of the ensuing year, yeah.
So is it safe to presume that there would be no more, that this would be the last indictment before trial?
This is the most unique case that I think I've ever done, and we go all the way back to its origins, and we talk about the uniqueness of this case, where we took a cold case, we developed a suspect, and we were off and running, and then you had this tension between putting a case together for the grand jury, maintaining the secrecy of the case, pre-indictment, and then also providing for public safety, and then the tension between all that resulted in the case coming down in July. Well, now we have this tension where we have to prepare what we charge for trial, but we also have to continue to investigate and again, we have a cold case unit, that we're working with the Suffolk County PD, state troopers, federal partners, Suffolk County sheriffs. So we're working on those cold cases. So the business of Suffolk County law enforcement cannot stop with this case. So there's always that tension. We've got to provide this case, for trial. This judge will not take any excuses, so we've got to do that. But we've got an obligation to continue to investigate these cases and provide closure to as many families as we can. And that's whether or not, these result in additional charges for anyone. And obviously we don't know that until we charge. But, the answer to that question unfortunately changes on a daily basis depending upon, the evidence we receive and the input we
Has
receive.
the judge indicated at all, let's get this moving? I mean, you said, he's an aggressive judge, we've seen how it works.
Yeah, he says that, he wants, again, he was a defense attorney for a long time, he was a prosecutor for a long time, he's a judge for a long time, he's done a lot of these cases from every conceivable vantage point, so he understands. But by the same token, he's pushing us, so that's, we have to, first and foremost, we have to comply with the court, which we intend to do.
Ray
Mr.
Tierney, what is the status of the funds that you had said were tied up?
Still tied up.
And what about, other victims, Karen Brigada and the other, unsolved murders?
Yeah, I mean, again, we have, we started the cold case unit, we have a number of cases. Karen Brigada is, one of those victims, so we'll continue to work those cases, but as we've been saying, those cases, those bodies, they're separate, investigations, separate crime scenes until, we can speak to an indictment otherwise, whether they're related or not.
Are you hindered in any way because you don't have the money yet?
I mean, I think to a certain extent, law enforcement, everybody in life is hindered because
Right.
you never have enough resources. But, I think we're managing very well. It would be nice to have that money, but, we have great partners. We have, our Suffolk County Executive, our Suffolk County Legislature is very sympathetic to what we're doing. So, it would be great to have that money. But it's not like, if something needs to be done, it gets done. The big difference, I think, is it's just, as far as, it's not, rocket science providing all of this digital evidence, but it is, important and it's specific work, and the more hands you have on it, the quicker it'll get done, and having that federal money would be very helpful in that regard.
DA, I just wanted to give others an option to speak if they wanted to. I know Valerie Mack's family are not ready. Are there any?
I think, Ms. Allred, is going to be, having a press conference after me, so I believe she represents, most of the victims in this case, so I'll leave that to her and to them.
So in the new bail application, one of the articles, it indicated that it was found in the basement vaults. Can you clarify, is that like a vault where, is this the entire thing? Is this where you found the tape and the push pins? Like, can you elaborate on the vault?
Yeah, the vault is just where the gun vault.
Okay, so that's where
it
things
was
were stored.
behind it was locked.
So in addition to the guns, there were other things
There was
locked in there?
that specific, document, among other things.
So was in the gun vault, in the safe, inside the gun vault?
Well,
Inside the gun.
it was inside the gun vault.
But not locked in the safe inside?
And, well, the gun vault in fact is a giant safe.
DA?
Yes.
You've said that the evidence is leading you to believe that murders could have taken place in the basement with the adhesive tape stains and the reference to push pins. Is it your belief that most of the murders might have taken place there and he was comfortable in that environment and it wouldn't have happened outside the jurisdiction of his home?
Well, again, belief and, you look at, the HK document and you look at, the HK document evinces two things. Clearly, it evinces, intent, most obviously, but it also, evinces careful and meticulous planning. So, and there's certainly a modus operandi with regard to the commission of these cases. Certainly, there are a lot of similarities between, Jessica and Valerie, and I think that's, and again, the victims that were found off of Gilgo, at least partially, in some instances, that we found them earlier, right? So we had more, we had more evidence, more indication of what happened to them. But I mean, if you look at all the victims, and then in the context of all the evidence in the case, it would certainly appear that the house figured prominently. And again, with many, if not all, of the victims, we were able to establish that the family was out of the house at the time of the time the victims went missing.
What I noticed in the document is that it says that Valerie Mack was killed or had been dead between 2 and 8 weeks. And so that suggests a longer period of time of when she was actually killed. I mean, do you have any reason to believe she was kept in the house for a long time before she was brought to the woods?
Yeah, well, we're not gonna, speak to that. I mean, I think the only thing we're able to do is estimate through, forensic experts, given the condition of the crime scene, and that's where that 2 period time frame comes from.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.